Hi, I'm Julie Baird. I'm Director of Newcastle Museum and I'm also a historian. During COVID, how we remember is really important. So Newcastle Museum, in combination with Luke Kellett from Headjam, are having an exhibition called Isolation, Portraits of Newcastle during COVID-19. And I'm here today to have a chat with Luke to find out exactly what the exhibition is all about. Luke, what's the project to remember COVID?
Well, we've been working since March together to document people in the Hunter region in their habitats when they're in isolation. So portraits from the street of their house with them very small in frame in a window or on their front porch to try and collect their stories.
And so with this project, you've photographed, well, really communities. You've photographed people isolating together. Why was that significant? Why were the people more significant than perhaps the official records?
I'm fascinated by how people live and where they live. So I wanted to try and craft a story of their space. And it was about trying to craft that narrative about those experiences, those individual stories, whether you live in a high rise or whether you live in a mansion.
Or even if you're homeless.
Yeah, or if you're homeless. And we absolutely, there's some, incredible stories there in terms of how that's both positively and negatively impacted the homeless community in various ways.
The photos don't look like standard photos. There's this sort of sense of fairyland or ethereal nature to something that's so ordinary. This is a family in a house.
Yeah.
So how did you what's the process? How did you take the photos?
I'm really fascinated by uniformity through photography and consistency. Baird and Hiller and Becher, two German photographers born in the 30s, they documented all of these amazing things throughout their career, but it's a typology, which is basically a scientific study photographically of objects that are all the same. So the framing is all the same, the tonality, the film's all the same. So I applied this methodology of thinking to keep the framing the same, to keep the colors the same, to keep everything as consistent as possible when taking this. So it's like a study. We chose to photograph this using a large format camera and film. A couple of reasons for that. The process is slow, it's methodical, it's difficult. It completely removes you from seeing the images for weeks at a time. So there's a reflection that occurs before you look at the image. I think digital is very reactive, and you make not necessarily always the best decisions when you're editing so quickly. And then also practically photographing houses and architecture. There's a lot of really weird houses in Newcastle. It's an eclectic mix.
Yeah.
It's really hard with a regular camera to get straight parallel lines and not have distortion. So with the large format camera that we use, we were able to use methodologies of tilting and shifting the lens, which corrects that distortion. So the images look really boring, straight, scientific. And then the difference of what you see in the image, like the people, I think because everything's so uniformed, the people in those stories are kind of shown a little bit more.
The show itself is called Isolation, Portraits of Newcastle during COVID-19, and it's going to be on display for free at Newcastle Museum from September 25th, and I encourage you to get in there and see it and see how other people experienced isolation and also experience how in 100 years' time Newcastle will remember this momentous period of time. Thanks, Luke.
Thanks very much.